Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, Gordo Gambles, and welcome back to another full card breakdown, this time for UFC Vegas 60. In this card right here, we have a nice 13 card slate now that Njokuani has officially pulled out of the fight. It's an interesting one. A lot of things we're going to talk about, a lot of ways to target this card as a whole, and I actually think it's a very, very interesting card altogether. Without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Let's talk about it, first of all, in the main event of the evening. In the main event, you have a very interesting bantamweight scrap. You have Corey Sandhagen coming in a price tag of 9.2K with the return on Song Yadong being at 7K. Now, I'm mad Kiro's not here. He'd make a joke about Song Yadong, but these are very, very talented fighters in their own right. You have Corey Sandhagen, although he is coming off of 2 losses, he's taken losses to Dillashaw and Jan, 2 of the biggest guys in the division, 2 of the biggest names in the division, 2 fights that he put up a good account for him in, a fight where you think that Sandhagen probably could have won the Dillashaw fight, but nonetheless, he has 2 L's on his record, and he's facing the streaking prospect of Song Yadong. The difference between Song Yadong's level of competition, although he's looking great in doing so, is taking a step up from a guy in Marlon Moraes, who is as chinny as it is in this stage of his career, versus the guy in Corey Sandhagen. That is a huge jump to make. Nonetheless, I do think this is a very interesting bout. Let's break this down a bit further. Although we know Song Yadong for his technical boxing and his power, I think that's one of his largest advantages in this fight. When it comes to output, I think the guy who's going to have more output, who's going to have the ability to go out there and win the minutes, is going to be Corey Sandhagen. He averages 6.42 strikes per minute. The return of Song Yadong is around that 4.92 to be exact mark. That being said, you not only have the striking output for a guy like Corey Sandhagen, but it's sometimes hard for that power to come and play when you have guys who are so durable. Corey Sandhagen has never been knocked out between the 2 of these guys. And amongst their high amount of combined fights, they've only been knocked out once combined, and I do think this is a fight that does go the distance larger than not. The other advantages you can give the guy in Corey Sandhagen, who is the favorite, is going to be that grappling. I do think he has wrestling advantage, submission advantage in that first place, but I think that as long as this fight stays on the feet, it's going to be a minute versus moment kind of fight, and I do think that the minute winner, the guy who's going to be winning on the judges' scorecards, is going to be Corey Sandhagen, and that is why I'm kind of leaning towards him in a cash aspect. With that being said, the bigger moments are probably going to go to Song Yadong and his power. Either way, it's a very, very high technical scrap. When it comes to the way I'm targeting this on DraftKings, I don't think I'm getting as much exposure as I want to in this fight, just because I do see this fight going to the scorecards more often than not. With the durability of the 2, with the output advantage to Sandhagen, I'm going to have to lead with him. He's going to be the preferred option for me at 9.2K. I think he's more of a cash play. When it comes to value, though, I don't think you can go wrong with Song Yadong. His ceiling is a knockout. It's going to be something that we've never seen before from Corey Sandhagen, so you are going to be hoping that all the stars align for that to happen. With that being said, it's not out of the picture. Corey Sandhagen has also gone 5 rounds his last 2 fights, and I do think that if he won those fights, it's a fact we're going to put up 110 points. The guy has decent scoring, so you know what? The cash angle over 5 rounds is definitely there. Although I do think as a whole, there may be some better fights to target in GPP. So, cover it all. I do like Corey Sandhagen cash. I do think Song Yadong is a bit live for a little bit of a Hail Mary for a salary relief. That being said, official prediction is going to be Corey Sandhagen by decision. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. For the first time in DraftKings history, we have a fighter over 9.6K. We have our first 9.7K fighter that week, and this is Joe Pyfer. If you guys know Joe Pyfer, he just came off the Dana White Contender Series. Dana White was telling everybody, be like Joe Pyfer, because he came out there electrifying fight style, and he looked good doing so. In looking as good as he did, though, I do think that they're giving him an easy fight here. It is a layup in my opinion. If you guys have seen my tweets recently, I have more money on Joe Pyfer than I've ever had in any other fighter before. For me, I think it's simple. The win condition for Amedovski is a Hail Mary fluke KO. The better minute winner, the better durability, the better output, the better grappler, the better wrestling, the better everything is on the Joe Pyfer side. I think that the only way that he loses this fight is if he gets reckless and gets caught with something for Amedovski, but we've seen his durability hold up in the past. With that being said, why is he at 9.7K? Why is he at a space that no one else has ever been at before? And that's what really puzzles me. He's only a minus 450 favorite. It's not like he's minus 2,000. Romanov is at minus 2,000 and he was only, 9.6K? Why is this the week that he is so expensive? Although he is so expensive, I do think that his ceiling is like no other on this card. That quick win bonus is in the picture. Wrestling submission is up in the picture as well. Knockdowns, first round finish, all that's in the picture. I think he is one of the safest GPP plays. I'm interested in seeing where the ownership lies. We've never seen anybody at 9.7K. I don't know how that ownership or that price tag is going to affect the ownership there. So I don't really know how to target this one. I want a ton of Joe Pyfer because I'm really big on him winning and scoring well this week. Although that price tag is definitely scaring me off a little bit. Despite all this, I do think he rolls. I do think he is a very, very good target. On the other side of things, Amedovski, 6.5K. Again, the cheapest fighter we've ever really had. He is your dart throw. He is your Hail Mary because like I said, the only way he wins scores up 100 points, right? That fluke round 1 KO, that injury to Joe Pyfer, that is his win condition. If he wins this fight, he's going to put up over 100 points and he is going to be optimal. I just don't think it happens very often. Win condition scores well, although I think he hits that at maybe about 4 or 5%. So Give me Joe Pyfer, a bit less than I want to because of the price tag, although I still think he rolls through. All right, now that elephant is out of the way, let's talk about our main fight to target this week. And man, there are so many to choose from, but I think the one that I'm kind of leaning towards the most, which is surprising me to say, is going to be Javid Basharat against Tony Gravely. Now, hear me out. There are a lot of fights who are expected to finish more than this one. I just think that both these fighters have styles that are going to put up a lot of points, and I do think they're going to come at discounted ownership compared to other fighters. Javid Basharat, his brother, just fought in my Contender Series a few days ago, but 8.6K. I think he has a finish equity in this spot. For me, it's not about striker versus grappler. It's more about finisher versus high point decision. He's the finisher in this spot. I think if he wants to win this fight, he has to catch Gravely, who's been caught before in submissions, or he's got to knock out Tony Gravely, which has also happened multiple times before. So I do think that Basharat's finish equity is definitely there and definitely still on the table. Where things get interesting is Tony Gravely is a fantastic DraftKings player. Although he's lost twice in the UFC, I mean, his average point is still 93. He has scored over 105 points in all 4 of his wins, even with 2 of those being above 125 and even 1 of those being above 135. The guy's an excellent DraftKings scorer. I do think that his win condition to the spot is a high takedown, high control time, high scoring decision, and it's not out of the realm of possibilities. This is going to be the best competition that Basharat has faked to date, in my opinion, and I do think that Gravely has the better names on his repertoire, and so it's pretty simple. I think Basharat either goes out there, finds a finish, puts up a right 100, 105 points, or Gravely goes out there, wrestles his way to decision, and puts up 105 in his own right. I think either way, the ceiling on both these fighters is about 120 each side. I do want some ownership on this fight, a lot more than I really expected myself to, and I do think it's a really, really good matchup. So with our fight to target out of the way, usually I'll go on, I'll break down some dogs, break down some favorites, but there are so many fights I want to target as a whole that in the timestamps right here, it'll probably say fight to target number 2, and that's because I do think you need both sides of this upcoming fight as well. The next fight we're going to talk about is Gregory Rodrigues versus Chidi Njokuani, and this is an electrifying matchup. These guys not only have power in their hands, but their fighting style is so dynamic, this is going to be an absolute barn burner. And with this salary coming in the middle of the pack, you have the opportunity to play either one of these guys in your lineups a lot of the time. You can really trade them out for each other, and I do think this is a spot where I'm going to have both sides. First off, let's talk about the favorite, Gregory Rodrigues. I do think that he is going to have a grappling advantage in this spot. Let's start off with the favorite, Gregory Rodrigues. I do think he's going to have a grappling advantage in this spot, and although I am picking him to win, I don't necessarily think that is his only path to victory. I know a lot of people are on him for not shooting takedowns against Arman Petrosian, and rightfully so. I was on that same play. But the guy still averages 2.4 takedown shot in 15 minutes. He does go out there. He does proactively grapple, and I do think that is a good path to victory for him. With that being said, on the feet, the guy possesses insane power. The guy has the ability to put together combinations, throw with heat, and I do think that both these guys are going to throw to the point where somebody goes down. On the other hand, Chidi Njokuani, $8,000. I mean, he averages 119 points. That's the first thing that jumps off the page to you, is he averages a lot of points in his first 2 wins. But this guy also throws an insane power, and it's funny because he has really transformed his game. He was not always like this. He was not always that dynamic. He actually didn't look the same in his earlier years. He would give up. He would be controlled in the mat, but he's really come out with a resurgent and has put together some great, great wins. For me, I see a finish happening early and often. I think it's either knockout on either side. I think that the only thing separating these two is you're going to have the more technical striker in Chidi Njokuani, and you're going to have the grappling in the back pocket for Gregory Rodrigues. Either way, the ceiling on the guys is another 120-point matchup. Both these guys have also been knocked out before, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities for an early finish either. I think it materializes one way or the other. The official prediction is going to be Gregory Rodrigues. However, there's definitely some value on Chidi Njokuani. Okay, next fight to target, and I apologize. Again, I'm giving you guys these fights where I'm going to tell you to target both sides. I will clarify which side I'm targeting more often than not, but this is going to say down low. Third fight to target, and that is going to be a fun one. You have Cameron VanCamp making his return against Nicholas Motta. This is going to be an absolute barn burner once again. Another one where I do think there is finishing equity. Motta at 9.3K. It's a steep price tag to get to because he hasn't impressed me that much, but I think it's really VanCamp that makes this matchup. VanCamp is not only going to be the more proactive grappler, more proactive striker, and probably a guy who throws insane power in his own right, but he's a guy who leaves a lot of openings for his opponents. I mean, he has a horrible striking defense. Fiallo exposed that his last time out, and he was put out cold 4 months ago. Cameron VanCamp, although he's going to be the more active striker, active grappler, and minute winner in this spot, he is a great option at 6.9K, but that comes with a huge red flag, and that's because Nicholas Motta has power to put his lights out at any time. Pretty simple matchup for me. I think VanCamp wins this fight at a pretty high clip, unless Motta knocks his lights out, what could happen at any time, and if doing so, 9.3K will be value for that spot. The reason I'm leaning towards VanCamp even more here is not only due to his salary relief, but also because he has power in his own right. It's not like Motta has a brick head. He's been knocked out multiple times before, and at that price tag of 6.9K, I'm going to have myself some Cameron VanCamp. So although I'm targeting both sides due to an early finish, in my opinion, coming from either the poor striking defense of VanCamp or the power of Motta, or the questionable chin of Motta and the power of VanCamp, I do think I'm going to have a ton of Cameron VanCamp in my lineup just because I do think he wins this fight more often than 6.9K does entail. And in doing so, his ceiling is super high in his own right. So targeting this fight from both sides, although I do think Cameron VanCamp is a very, very live dog. This is such an electrifying slate. Let's go with fight to target number 4, and this is the big boy bout. Tanner Boser facing Rodrigues Nascimento. Nascimento 7.4K. The return on Tanner Boser 8.8K. This is a classic striker versus grappler matchup, and it's going to be the first of 2 we're going to talk about, but really this is a truly striker versus grappler matchup. Nascimento, he is the grappler in this matchup. Insane jiu-jitsu, great takedowns, great top control, great ground and pound. If this fight gets to the ground, I think he wins it at a pretty high clip. With that being said, I think Tanner Boser is going to have the evasiveness, the movement to keep it upright, and on the feet is going to be no match. With a little bit of Canadian bias, the pick here is going to be Tanner Boser to win this fight, although the GPP credibility for a guy in Rodrigues Nascimento is huge. If he is able to get takedowns 7.4K, especially early on when he's fresh, he could put up 120 points, no questions asked, because his ground and pound is there, his submission's there, his top control is there. He is a great ground fighter. However, not only does he have questionable cardio on the feet, but he's also be paced up by the hands of Tanner Boser. Tanner Boser has great in and out movement. I think I'd like to see him extend combinations more, but I think he is the much better striker. He has power in his own right. I do think that the longer this fight stays on the feet, not only is Nascimento going to tire, but he's also going to get caught with something. I see a finishing happen either way. Although I am picking Tanner Boser to win, I do think that there's better fighters up there with higher ceilings, and that way the more ownership for me is going to be the Nascimento side, because I do think his ceiling is through the roof. I would not be surprised to see a first round finish from Nascimento. His ceiling is there, his win condition is there. However, the official prediction is going to be Tanner Boser. All right, last one, I promise. And you know what, flame me in the comments if you want. Hopefully I'm giving you guys enough information to, you know what, choose a side from giving out. But another fight to target is going to be Maria Agapova versus Jillian Robertson, another striker versus grappler matchup, another Canadian in them as well, except for this time they flip. The Canadian is now the grappler in this side, and it's pretty simple. The better striker is Maria Agapova, the better grappler is Jillian Robertson. Can Maria Agapova grapple? Not very well. Can Jillian Robertson strike? Not very well. Very, very dual-sided matchup. I think it's pretty simple. Either Agapova keeps it upright. She's got power. She's got great combination. I think she breaks Jillian Robertson throughout the stretch if it stays on her feet, although it only takes maybe 1 or 2 takedowns for Robertson to get the finish down there. I'm really torn in this fight. I think the official prediction for me is going to be Jillian Robertson, 8.5K, great ceiling. I think that she has a clear path to victory, and I do think that she can maybe go a bit overlooked in this spot at this price tag, and I am going to have more ownership on her due to being a bit contrarian, and I think her ceiling's higher on DraftKings perspective, but I would not be surprised if Agapova can put up 90 to 100 points in a win herself. That being said, much higher towards Robertson's side due to that grappling upside and the finish equity as well. All right, I'm done talking about fight target. Let's talk about a fighter in himself, a fighter who is in a league of his own in this fight, Daniel Zellhuber, 9.4K. He is the cash option of the week. Facing Trey Ogden, I know a lot of people are on Zellhuber this week, and I completely agree with them. Ogden definitely did not impress, outstruck by Jordan Leavitt. I bet against him in this fight, so it worked out well that he got outstruck in that fight, but he's not going to want to fight like that against Zellhuber. Zellhuber is an undefeated prospect, great combinations, great kickboxer, and he just seems to be very, very well-rounded. He's a black belt as well. He's very strong in his hips as well, so he's able to keep the fight upright. And I just think he has the advantage pretty much everywhere, except for maybe UFC experience. With that being said, you could even really contest that, because I do think Zellhuber has fought the more recent, better opponents. He just hasn't done it under the bright lights of the UFC. I think Zellhuber is the better fighter everywhere. I think he's going to have a huge striking edge, great grappling. I think even a finish is not off the question here, but he is probably the safest play for me in terms of floor. I think he has one of the highest floors in the entire, I think he does have the highest floor on the entire slate, and at 9.4K, I think he reaches his ceiling as well. He's my cash option, and he's a safe one at that for sure. Let's talk about another dog here right now, 7.8K, Sarah McMann. McMann really, I think she opened up a favorite, that's a fact, but I think she'd be getting a lot more love if she wasn't as old as she is. In this fight here against Aspen Ladd, it's going to be one where she is going to have advantages. She is going to have Olympic level wrestling that she always brings, but what her big question mark is that cardio, the putting herself in dangerous submissions on the mat. She makes mistakes later on in fights that have definitely cost her. And although I do think Aspen Ladd is dangerous from top position, I don't think she offers that same submission threat that has cost her in the past. I think Sarah McMann has the ability to win this fight at a pretty high clip, control time, takedowns, decent ceiling, and at 7.8K, I truly just think the wrong fighter is favored. Sarah McMann is probably going to win the first and second round at a pretty high clip, and I do get the people taking the shot on Ladd, but you're basing yourself off of Sarah McMann making the mistake. It's Sarah McMann's fight to lose, and I do think that she has a better chance than the line does entail. 7.8K, she's a dog I'm definitely targeting. All right, that's going to do it for me here on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. Let's quickly wrap up the rest of the card. I mean, you have Luma Lukbumi at 9.5K, Fade for sure. There's no way I'm getting to her above Zellhuber, above Pyfer. Not only does she have a lower floor, but also a way lower ceiling. I do think she wins this fight. I do think she puts up like 70 points in the process, so fading her at 9.5K. I also don't see that much value in Gomez. 6.7, I don't necessarily seeing her winning this fight at a high clip, but I think it goes to the scorecards more often than not. Really hard for me to get to Loma at 9.5K. Giles versus Kose is very, very interesting to me because both these guys aren't really the most trustworthy fighters. I think Giles is more skilled, but Kose has the dog in him, and then you got to factor in the cardio issues. It's hard for me to get to Giles at 9.1K because he is so dangerous, and I do think that Kose definitely does have value at 7.1K because he does have the ability to be that dog in him, continuously going forward, probably try to break Giles. I just haven't seen what I wanted from Kose to trust him. So it's kind of a pass fight for me as well, but a super high volatility, super high variability, Kose might be a live dog at 9.1K. Sabatini versus Jackson. I think I'm kind of leaning towards Sabatini from a cash perspective. I do think he wins this fight at a pretty high clip, but Jackson's a dog, man. It's hard to count him out, but Sabatini's gonna be the better fighter, better striker, better grappler in my opinion, bigger, fighting in a better camp. Give me Sabatini to win. I just don't know how high his ceiling is. I can see this close to the Connolly fight where he only puts up 82 points, and that's why I'm kind of staying off of it. However, I am picking Sabatini to win the fight. Hernandez versus Barrio is going to be a super, super fun fight. I think it goes all 3 rounds. Barrio is a guy called the power bar. He walks forward, he pushes forward, he always strikes, he always puts together his combination, great pressure. And Hernandez is kind of like that, but he uses his grappling as a weapon since he did his last fight. I think that this is a good fight to target in its own right. I think you could have both sides. I am more leaning towards the value on the Barrio side because he does have really good get-up game and does have that forward pressure to cause problems for Hernandez. Altogether, I think it's a great fight. A lot of question marks that are going to be answered. It's kind of one I kind of just want to enjoy. With that being said, definitely some value and some ownership I'm going to have on the Barrio side. Last but not least, Philly versus Algio. This is my sit-back fight of the week. I've seen strong opinions on both sides. I've had problems fading Algio in the past. I've had problems trusting Philly in the past. So it's a sit-back fight for me. I do think that Feely is going to win this fight. I think he's got the better combination, better technicality, but Algio's a dog. He's going to walk forward. I also think Feely has takedown upside. Either way, great matchup. I wouldn't blame you for taking a shot on either side. However, from a breakdown perspective, from a guy who's going to be sitting behind the camera, this is one where I'm going to take a seat back, let you guys make that decision because I don't think I'm going to have enough conviction to really sell you on a side here. That's going to do it for me here on the Plays with Fades YouTube channel. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all the picks I gave out. Hopefully you guys are able to decipher all those fights I did target, pick the ones you like the most, and hopefully create the best lineups you can this weekend. Very, very entertaining card, lots of volatility. If you guys want to know any more of my content, it's all right here on the channel. Make sure you like this video, subscribe down below. I'm putting in way too much work, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. And with that, follow my Twitter at GamblesGordo. Show some love to the guests I'm having in other videos in this week. Enjoy the card, and let's make some money.